Welcome to the Christian Nutrition Casual Review. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Mary.
And today we are on day 2 of our 7-day catching up on all the episodes that we missed, which is a very catchy name, and I hope everyone says it to their fellow family members and friends. They'll be like, wow, I just watched the day 2 of the 7-day of catching up on episodes we missed video. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, I love that video. That one's my favorite. So
You forgot the casual review of the, I don't even know.
We're doing a Shakespargus play.
Yes.
That's what we're reviewing today.
Today is a Shakesparagus play.
Shakesparagus.
Which is pretty punny.
Right out of the gate, before we even explain anything, I just want to say that I have another YouTube channel called Once Upon an Island. I highly recommend subscribing there. But besides that, I like this episode way more. I feel like this could be my favorite one. So before we even talk about it, I just want to let everyone know, if you're wondering if there's an episode to watch on Yippee, and for some reason you're subscribed to Yippee and you haven't watched any VeggieTales, you're in this precarious situation, or you didn't know they have like a 7-day free trial and you just want to watch them all at once, which is actually what I recommend doing, and then finding out if you like them. This is actually one of the better ones before we even talk about it.
It's true. It's pretty good.
Yes, this could be my favorite one. So let's go ahead. What is a Shakesparagus play about? What is happening? How does this episode start?
Well, first off, it starts off vastly different than the majority of the others, because instead of being backstage,
They're not backstage?
rushing around with 30 minutes to go to the play.
Instead,
they're in Mr. Nebuchadnezzar's office. Like the very first episode they were in Mr. Nebuchadnezzar's office?
Yeah, it was like
technically the second.
You want to get technical,
really
that's technically the second, but it's really the pilot. But yes.
So, which was very weird and jarring, honestly.
Well, at first I was like, oh, exciting, we're not in the backstage.
But it was.
But why are
different.
they in Mr. Nebuchadnezzar's office?
They're in Mr. Nebuchadnezzar's office because he's complimenting them on their play that they did last night. And they were like, oh, I didn't know you watched our plays.
And he said, I didn't.
And he said, I didn't.
He burned them good.
But apparently, Mr. Shakesparagus.
Did he say Mr. or
No.
William Shakesparagus?
I think he just said the famous playwright Shakesparagus.
Okay.
He definitely said the famous playwright, which is a big word for little kids.
And I was like, okay, what is Shakesparagus going to look like?
Right. We have no idea.
Spoiler alert, Shakesparagus is just a name. We don't see Shakesparagus at any point in the show.
Nope.
Which is one of my 2 flaws in this episode. And don't worry, we'll get to my second flaw later. Anyway,
so apparently the famous Shakesparagus had seen their play the night before and loved Larry the Cucumber's performance as John, I'm assuming, because that's the one we watched previously.
Well, didn't they flash back to what it was?
I don't remember.
I feel like they flashed back and
just like a random episode.
Yeah, it wasn't any of the episodes we watched, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's just move on.
Sure. So he wants Larry to be the star in his new play, McCheese.
Which takes, by the way, 0.2 seconds for Larry to get like this massive ego.
Right.
Yes.
And even the play is about a person who gets a massive head. Why he wears a cheese head.
Yeah, that's the lesson this time. It's all about your ego.
Your pride and your ego. So immediately, Larry has like these visions of grandeur of him doing Shakespeare.
Immediately.
Well, he's like quoting modified Shakespeare on stage in costumes, and he gets this big head. They go downstairs. But here is the big thing. Bob says, no, we can't do a Shakesparagus play. Why not? Because they already have a show planned.
This is the only time it is the day of a show and they actually had a show planned.
Right.
And Mr. Nebuchadnezzar was like, well, actually, I was thinking, why don't we just make up a brand? Well, sorry, somebody else already written them a show, but they have not practiced or anything.
Sure.
This is just they actually have like first 5 episodes. We're always like they're never ready. They're never ready, and here we are. They're ready.
They're ready.
Episode
they're ready
6.
To go.
They're ready.
Mr. Lunt is going to juggle some chickens, and that's all you need to know.
Dude, that was going to be awesome.
Right, but Larry very condescendingly says, no one wants to see Mr. Lunt juggle chickens.
First off, Larry does not speak for the people.
You're right. Well, he's quoting Mr. Nebuchadnezzar, but Larry, of course, was now thinking everyone wants to see him. He's the big star.
Mr. Lunt should have run for president. I would have voted for him.
Sure.
Yeah. Juggle Chickens 2020. I would have voted immediately for Mr. Lunt.
Anyways, so they are going to do the Shakesparagus play. They have apparently all the sets and costumes that they need. And so they go out and do the title show. Larry is in the title song. Sorry. immediately after the title song's over,
by the way, the sign falls again. I'm going to mention this every episode.
Everyone's surprised.
Yes, everyone every time, even though they do it every time, it falls every time, which almost makes you think, okay, at this point, the sign falls. Is this designed to do it? However, and is Bob and Larry just like good actors? They just like look worried. But the audience, every time, no matter what, always goes,
yeah.
Like you would think they've seen this so many times, they'd be like, okay.
Well, it's not all the same people.
So I guess what we're implying is there's a new audience for every different show that they're putting on. Because in my mind, I'm like, the same people are just coming back and watching new shows. I don't know. But apparently the way they act as if these people have never seen the sign fall. It's and Bob and Larry are such good actors. They're like, oh, that didn't mean to happen.
Right.
I mean, the thing is they've set up that they're doing this every time. And every time the sign falls, I clench my butt cheeks. So it's very important that everyone knows the status of the clench.
Oh, my goodness.
So anyways,
they go through the title sequence with Larry right there the whole time like he always is.
Yep.
But they're walking off stage from the title sequence. And Larry's coming down from upstairs, whatever's upstairs.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Wearing sunglasses, and Bob's like, "Where have you been, Larry?" And he's like, "I was taking a nap."
Which is golden, by the way.
Right. Because that's what stars do, first of all. They wear sunglasses inside and they
just
take naps.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, that's all I've been doing since we did our last review. I've just been napping and wearing sunglasses. Everyone's like, why are there no new reviews? Why are you doing a different YouTube channel? I'm like, I'm such a big star. I got to wear sunglasses. I got to take naps. I ain't got time for VeggieTales.
So this was a very important
This was an episode where I actually related to Larry probably the most.
Right. So I did think that there were some pretty good cheese puns in this episode. Unfortunately, I didn't write any of them down. But there were some good
because
ones.
What they're doing is Macbeth, but they've renamed it McCheese. And at first I was like McLarry?
Yeah,
but
I thought about
not
McLarry.
Quite.
It really wasn't Macbeth either. I mean, like you barely see
they just reused the name.
Yeah.
But McCheese does bring, I know we haven't gotten here yet, does bring back the French peas on top of the Jericho wall, insulting Larry, which is always gold and should be in almost every episode that has ever existed ever.
Right. But instead of like Joshua responding to the insults, I
want to make sure we're clear. I say every episode ever. I don't mean VeggieTales. I mean every episode ever of everything. I want to turn on NCIS and see the French peas on top of the wall, berating NCIS. I want to watch Stranger Things and see the French peas on top of the wall, berating them as they're running away from the monsters. The Upside Down
happen for you.
I want to watch SpongeBob and see the French peas in there and be like, this is a weird crossover, but I accept it.
You would accept it.
All right. I think I've driven this joke into the ground.
Probably. So anyways, Mr. Lunt makes the first cheese joke because they're all getting ready for the play and it's called McCheese. Anyways, pretty good. And so Larry gets his cheese costume on. I think it is, there's three other Mrs. Who else is out on stage?
So there's Madam Blueberry, Mr. Lunt, and I believe Cauliflower or Callie, I think there's
Or was it Laura? Because I think Laura was in this episode. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
But they're wearing huge sandwich costumes.
It's hard for me to tell. I'm also blind because I'm wearing sunglasses.
Anyway, so they start their song, and of course Larry just immediately cuts them off. They start singing, and he takes over their lines because he's the star of the show, and it's he's the most important.
Yeah, he just shoves himself in the frame every time that the camera looks away from him.
Which I'm sure is exactly what Shakespearagus was imagining.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, we never met Shakespearagus, but I imagine he wanted Larry. I'm sure he was
there watching.
Yeah, I don't even know why they mentioned it if they're not going to show him.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Anyway, so basically Larry ruins the show. He keeps doing things to make himself appear as more of the star, taking over people's lines. Yeah. As you said, the French peas start insulting him from the wall.
They're like, oh, you're very, very tiny. And he's like, what? So for some reason, Larry thinks that because he's being insulted and called tiny, that if he gets higher up in the air, like if he just gets taller, and if he stands on top of things, that he won't be considered tiny, he'll be considered bigger. And I'm like, that's not how bigger works, Larry. Like, you need to like eat a mushroom from Super Mario and grow large.
Right.
But Larry's like, he gets on a ladder, they call him tiny. He gets on a refrigerator, they call him tiny. He gets on stilts, they call him tiny, and then he falls, and then they laugh. And I'm like, I have never related to the French peas so much in my entire life before right now.
Right. And I liked their line of, it's not every day that you see stilts on cheese. Anyways, the puns are, that was the only cheese one I remembered. So yes, he completely ruins the show. by trying to appear more,
but in a good way
of a star
for us.
Sure.
For us, it's good. I mean, we say he ruined the show. It's not like Junior showed up. It's like ruined the show in a fun way. So
sure, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like when Junior shows up, but
why would you say that?
agree to disagree.
Our marriage is now on the rocks.
Now, the bad thing about this episode was there was no silly song.
Actually, I think it was fine. This is a good episode. Like, if a silly song had been there, that'd been great. But these episodes are so like 22, 24 minutes that like I don't think they're allowed to go longer, and I don't want them to put a silly song in if they have a good episode just to interrupt the flow. Like in the last episode, it worked, but here I feel like I'm actually glad it wasn't there.
Right.
Especially if they're not gonna make like Pizza Angel. You know, they're not gonna do like a super high quality one.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, anyway, so Larry tumbles over, everything's wrecked. So Paul Grape jumps to the rescue. He says, "I've got a story. Let's get on with the show."
He says, let's get on with the show. He's just like,
No,
Paul Grape's just
I'm
like
sure he
stumbling
said
over
that.
himself.
A lot better than I just said.
No, I'm just giving you our time. Go ahead.
Anyway, so he tells the story of King Nebuchadnezzar. At first, Larry is upset because he's like, well, what about me in the Shakespearagus show? I was the star of that one. And Bob's like, oh, don't worry. You'll be the star of this one too.
Yeah.
So we show King Nebuchadnezzar. He's amazingly proud of himself for all of his
everything
accomplishments. Right. The gardener comes in, says he's built the seventh wonder of the world, which is the Hanging Gardens. And King Nebuchadnezzar
is like, you mean
I built those.
I built those. And the gardener's like, what?
Right. So then Larry's like, can you stand over here, please? And he goes and has him stand on a
seesaw
/ catapult.
Yes.
And of course, Larry jumps on the other end, and there goes the builder.
And that's the kind of dark humor I appreciate in VeggieTales when they actually do it.
It was pretty funny.
Yes.
And Junior is playing Rufus, the king's scribe. And so King Nebuchadnezzar says...
This is the only role it's okay for Junior too.
Has Rufus... He played the scribe for King Nebuchadnezzar in...
Yeah.
No.
In the OG VeggieTales, they had Nebuchadnezzar in a different role. Not the same exact story is what I'm saying.
Sure. Anyways, I got mixed up there.
It's okay.
Yeah, so he has Rufus / Junior write down that King Nebuchadnezzar made the garden, so it scribes it on his scribe.
Yeah.
And then we see this happen again with... Jerry and
Larry, not Larry. I always get mixed up, man. It's the
Jimmy and Jerry.
Yes,
Ford.
it's the guys who ate the planet made of popcorn.
Yeah,
okay,
Jimmy and Jerry.
Classic.
They come in saying that they have built a massive stadium, and the king's like, "No, you didn't."
No, King says, "Oh, I'm so glad to hear that I built this great." Yeah, he's like,
sure.
he's not even telling them no. He's just like rephrasing what they're saying as if he did it.
Right. And then one of them gets on the
like,
catapult.
But then they're like, I didn't see you there.
Yeah.
And he's like, can you step over here, please? And so I believe it's Jimmy who steps on it, and he just catapults him, and he lands on Mr. Lunt's hat. And Mr. Lunt's like, you land on my hat. He's like, sorry. And I'm like, okay, so we know they're still alive.
Right.
But they're off stage. And can we just catapult everybody? Could Junior step on their necks? Could Jimmy, I'm sorry, not Jimmy. Jerry step on their necks. Yes. Could we have Bob step on it? Could we just have the entire cast step on it? Like, that's why I wanted. I was hoping we would launch more people. No. Unfortunately, it was just 2.
That was just 2.
Yeah.
Because then, of course, the king walks over and says, "Now, what was I saying?" And Jimmy immediately was like, "Oh, yes, you did a great job building that stadium."
Good work, King.
Right. Then Madame Blueberry comes in, and she is a warrior who has defeated Egypt.
By the way, all by herself, solo.
No, she did. I think she said, "We, your army, have defeated, I'm your general, whatever." And then, of course, King Nebuchadnezzar takes the glory for that.
Yes.
And Larry.
I was hoping he was going to launch Madame Blueberry, but I feel like it's sexist that they didn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
Just in the back of my brain, I'm like, they're not going to launch Madame Blueberry. She's a female. And then they did, and I was like, okay. I'm not saying there's ulterior motives. I'm just saying the moment she showed up, I'm like, they're not gonna launch Matt Blueberry.
Well, they didn't launch Jimmy.
The thing is, like, Mr. Lunt and they did launch Jimmy. I always get mixed up.
Whatever.
Jerry.
They didn't launch.
The thing is, those are like funny characters. Madame Blueberry is never like a character that's like. So launching Madame Blueberry would almost seem mean. Like if they had launched Bob, funny. They launched Junior, not funny.
I think it'd been funny.
I mean, to me, it's funny that they launched Junior.
I think anybody.
I think there's certain characters they can't launch and be funny. Petunia, not funny.
No, I don't
See?
know.
Petunia, not funny. Mr. Nezer,
possible.
Not really funny. Archibald, hilarious.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I see your point.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, I think Larry is really enjoying his role a lot, and he's really getting into this role. Then they go and Pagrape narrates how he has a dream, and in his dream, he for some reason.
Oh, what original VeggieTales was that? Where he sings about having a dream. Was that like the very first episode?
What you were just seeing there was from Tangled.
No, not that. First off, I don't even have Tangled in my brain like that.
Okay.
So no, we are getting way off track here for a second. Which original VeggieTales episode sings about having a dream? It was like the first or second one. It was like
having a dream.
Uber early. Remember, it's Daniel in the Lion's Den. It's the very first episode.
Oh, where the king has the dream?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
OG original.
Sure. And Daniel also comes and interprets this dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Connections are all there.
Connections.
They've been in front of our face the whole time.
Right. So, but this Daniel is Pagrape. And the OG Daniel was Larry.
Yeah,
so the roles
it's all
have
been
switched.
changed.
But anyways.
It probably makes more sense in the OG version, but it's whatevs.
Yeah. So for some reason, he has a dream. He gets up and he licks the canvas that has the painting of the tree.
Well, he's supposed to pretend like he's eating the fruit off the tree.
Right.
But he says, that's good canvas or something like that. And you're just like, so
I don't know.
it's
I didn't
not
think
a
that
tree?
joke was funny.
Yeah, it didn't land.
No.
I think this is a result of the episodes having to be done once
quickly.
a month. They don't have like a ton of time to like, and as someone who is also written comedy, I understand the less time you have, sometimes it's good if you're super inspired, but not every joke's gonna land. So
sure. Anyways, that wasn't a great joke.
Yeah.
But Daniel comes in, interprets the dream, basically tells him
Jimmy and Jerry come and cut out the tree and take it away and say, ooh, it tastes like canvas. And you're like, still not funny.
Again, yes. So then the king wakes up and he's like, oh, it was just dream, just Daniel saying whatever. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, Daniel.
But then an angel flies in, which I don't remember that from the Bible, but whatever. Angel flies in, basically tells him he is going to become mad. And Larry's like, well, I am mad.
he's like, no, another kind of mad. He's like, annoyed? He's like, no, mad in the head. And so this
is so you will think you are a cow.
You know what? When we were watching this, I was thinking we should start this review by mooing because of what happens next. How did I forget?
I don't
because
know,
basically Larry becomes a mad cow.
No, you ruined the joke.
Wait, that was the joke. What do you mean?
No, so the angel says, you'll become mad and you'll think you are like a cow. And then Larry goes, not mad cow disease.
Mad cow's disease, yeah. And then he starts mooing and eating grass.
Yeah.
Moo.
And so then,
I need
of course,
you to moo, otherwise this review is done. Thank you. We're both mooing. Okay. Moo. Moo. That's what Larry does. And it's just like, I don't know. Like, I didn't check the credits, but they were either inspired this episode or feeling cheeky this episode. But this is probably felt more like original VeggieTales with some of the humor, launching people, mooing, being on stilts, the French peas. I mean, it all worked. It all was working.
It was all really.
It was all
good.
clicking.
Right. So of course, instead of trying, Junior, your favorite character, was like, "Oh, the king is sick. We should maybe try and help him and take care of him." And everyone else, of course, Mr. Lunt, Madame Blueberry, Jimmy and Jerry are like, and then of course they launch him out of the castle.
Love it.
Which was pretty funny.
Yes.
And then for some reason, King Nebuchadnezzar / Larry has a huge long white beard, which I know he grew hair out in the wild.
Well, they said he'd been out there for years.
For several years.
As a mad cow.
Yeah, but I didn't get the white hair. I was really expecting it to be like brown. I don't know.
Because he's old. Because
Larry is always supposed to be young.
Old Larry. He was really old. He was just playing a character. That's why he had the white hair.
I understand. Usually I think of Larry as a young character. And even though he's playing King Nebuchadnezzar, there was no other like white hair. He didn't have like white hair on his head or something. It was just a little random to me. I expected hair. I just didn't expect white hair. Very minor detail. So then he starts talking to a sheep and the sheep starts talking to him. And I guess that's all part of the whole madness situation.
Yeah.
It was a little strange. But basically the sheep teaches him that God takes care of us and God sends us the grass and everything comes from God and we need to thank him for that. And so as a beast, the king / Larry thanks God for all the good things and basically admits that we would have nothing without God. So he's finally been humbled and then he gets restored. Well, you imagine, okay, here's the end of the story.
Yeah.
But once again, Larry just like steals the show. He pauses the show, pulls everyone out on stage. He's like, hey guys, I'm so sorry. Sorry I was doing this and sorry I was doing that. And they're all like, it's okay, but let's finish the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was, I guess that was supposed to be funny.
But we've missed something, I believe.
What did we
Or has it
miss?
not happened yet?
No, we haven't.
Junior
it hasn't happened
singing
yet. Yeah, that was next.
Is coming up next. And just thinking about this whole time is the only thing that like really truly taints this episode besides not seeing Shakesparagus. That's my second flaw with this episode.
Okay.
If someone could re-edit this episode and insert Shakesparagus.
I didn't mind Junior singing at. Okay,
What
inserting.
you're triggering me right now.
Okay.
I'm triggered.
Go ahead.
Junior singing is a crime against humanity and should never be accepted
Whatever.
by anybody.
I like Junior singing. I was confused. So the very first verse, Junior singing, and he has like these flashes of Larry being kind and humble and serving
at
people.
First,
Right, but then the second verse,
Yeah.
everyone else jumps in and helps Junior sing.
yeah.
And it goes to flashbacks of when Larry was being mean.
But it wasn't a flashback. So at first, when we were watching it, thought because he was on stilts again. And you're like, oh,
no, listen.
okay.
First verse, when Junior is singing,
Yeah.
he has flashes of Larry doing nice things, being
Okay.
serving. Like it's
So
similar
it's like Larry's learned
situation,
his lesson.
Like Larry's learned his lesson. So it's like Larry was on stilts, but then he's talking to the French peas and they're all smiling. So
Sure.
it's good. So it wasn't flashbacks. It's just flashes of Larry being nice.
Sure.
But then in the second verse, when everyone joins in and helps Larry sing, they have flashbacks to the actual episode of Larry screwing things up.
Do they?
Yes.
Wow, I forgot. I was just thinking about the flashes.
And I was
of
just
niceness.
thinking it should be reversed. Obviously, you
Yeah.
should have the bad parts first,
or
and
just
then
never
his
flashback ever.
or just never flashback ever. Sure, but that's why I thought it was strange. So I made a note of it because I was like, well, that's weird. Why would you not have the good part last?
Yeah.
But other than that, the song was fine. The lesson was
that
good.
fine. You really could turn off the episode right before the song and be completely fine.
No, because as Bob says, you need an ending. You can't just end with your main character breaking character, pulling everyone out on stage and be like, I'm sorry, guys.
But why did Junior have to sing? It was such a good episode.
It was a good song.
Did they make it thinking,
Junior made
we
a good
can't have
song.
a perfect episode. Let's put one flaw in there.
Sure, that's what they were
I mean,
thinking.
for real though, this is my favorite out of the first 6 episodes by far. I can't remember any other episode where I thought, oh, this one's really good. This is the closest we have gotten to original VeggieTales humor since original VeggieTales.
Yeah.
Like nothing in Netflix VeggieTales even came close, of course. But this is the closest we've gotten, and we have not watched the episodes that come after, even though we are going to be reviewing them every day for you all. But I'm hoping that this kind of humor does persist in later episodes, or at least persist in most episodes, because this is the humor that made VeggieTales popular in the first place and had it popular for years later. So
They still had, we forgot to mention this in the last review, I think,
what did we
but
forget?
the verse angel who
Yeah,
comes down with
verse
the verse.
angel.
And I still think that whole bit is a little
it's whatever.
strange.
It's
yeah,
just
it's just
replacement
whatever.
for QWERTY.
I know, but Cordy was so much better.
You know
and
what?
Bob, like, even though Bob hates the song, like Bob hating the verse angel is kind of weird.
It feels like it's just like a lesser QWERTY thing.
Yeah.
Because Bob hated QWERTY.
No, Bob hated the song. He didn't hate Cordy.
That's true. Yeah. It was like, and so what we have learned, and
Yes.
Bob like eyes roll in the back of his head and his
Yes.
brain explodes, and
Yeah.
he turns ketchup everywhere.
But
yeah.
it's not really funny because it's like a person that he's not like.
Yeah.
Or
And it's not even like a bad person. It'd be one thing if it was like the French peas, like doing their shtick, but it's not.
Well, I mean, it's still a French pea.
But it's not them doing their shtick. That's my point.
Sure.
It's not them coming down and being, ha ha, hello, little tomato, ha ha. Like
Sure.
that. Yeah.
Well, in this one, it's just slightly different because instead of a fortune cookie with the verse, he has a croissant with the verse.
Which is better.
Which is-
not much better, but still
Right.
better.
It's a change. So
It's
that's
a
cool.
change.
But yeah, I did enjoy this episode as well. I thought it was pretty good.
Out
like
of
you
10,
said.
what would you score it?
This is more like a 7 for
This is
me.
a 9.
A 9.
Well,
wow.
if Junior didn't exist, it'd be a 10. I'm sorry, if Junior didn't exist in the singing role, it'd be a 10. I don't have a problem with Junior existing. It's just I didn't what they did in original VeggieTales, and I understood why. It's Phil Vischer's wife who's voicing Junior, so it's like usually you got around
Right.
you. In original VeggieTales, I felt like Junior was in the spotlight too much when he wasn't even like one of the better characters. He's a great side character, but he's like I hate when they shove him to the front. So whenever he leads a song at the beginning, it's like we're shoving Junior to the
Well,
front.
this was at the end.
But I mean, at the beginning of the song, like if Junior had just been in the song and been fine, and even when Junior does like, what was it, Boys in the Sink, like that's fine. Like when Junior's like, "What's
one of my
up, dog?" or
favorites.
whatever, he's like, "Word." Junior's trying to be cool,
Yeah.
funny. But no, it's really not as big of a deal as I make it. I'm obviously just joking. It's still a 9 out. I would say it's a 9 out of 10. And I'm only my rubric is new VeggieTales. My rubric is not based on OG VeggieTales. I'm not gonna say like Lyle's a 10 and this is a 9. Like it's not like that. It's hard to judge. The shows are like
they're different.
It's apples and oranges. I mean, sure, they're both fruits. Vegetables, no. They're both.
It's Fiji apples and Honeycrisp apples. I guess. I don't know.
The thing is it's hard to compare the two. They both have a different flavor, but yeah, because one thing about these new VeggieTales episodes is the animation is super consistent between each of them, and it looks good. And it's in 4K, by the way, if you're watching on Yippee and anyone cares about that. I do. But the original VeggieTales, always on DVD, of course. But you'd see like...
Or VHS.
We have... Yeah, on VHS. But in between each episode, it was like some of them would get better, but then like in the 2000s, they would start like getting super inconsistent between episodes. Like one episode looked good, the next episode would be like, why is the colors different here? Or why is this changed? Or it's because they're like changing animation studios. So now we've gotten to a point where it's like it looks consistent and it looks good, and they're using original designs, and it's like it's new enough where I'm sure if my kids were watching it, they would not think this is old. Like if I'm going to show them original VeggieTales, they're probably going to think this is old.
Yeah.
But this is like, it looks good. So
that's true.
not that anyone's gotten to episode 6. Not that anyone's gotten this far in this review of these episodes and thought to themselves, oh, I wonder. Yeah. If you are thinking about watching it, sure. They got a free trial. I mean, there's like at this point, 11 episodes to watch. Yeah. So yeah.
They're worth it. I think they're worth it.
At this point, I think they're getting better. So I'm super curious because next time the episode we're reviewing, which is going to be tomorrow, is going to be let me remember. It's good to give up. Something like that. Sometimes being good requires giving up. I am butchering the title because we haven't actually watched it yet, but we're going to watch it right before we review.
Being good means giving up.
There we go. When being good means giving up. Thank you, Mary. That's why you're here with the notes. So yeah, that was exciting. All right. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Cool. Well, we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.